Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moments. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Swallowed Star based on novel. So let's start. Battle Axe Colosseum, one of the 5 leviathans of the human race. In the virtual universe network, a space was specially created here. On it was a wide river that traveled throughout the entire space. Its strength was shocking, and on this seemingly endless river floated several islands. On each of them were dojos. Island number 08921. This was a snow-covered island. Its most daunting construct was a huge dojo. At the center of it was an empty plot of land. Surrounding it were blurred large amounts of seats. The second, third, and full level of the dojo were all private rooms. Only members were allowed into the private rooms. And normal spectators could only watch from the bleachers far away. I've got my eye on Genji. His blade skills are impressive. Every time I see his skills, I get a very dreamy feeling, one filled with the energy of life. He'll definitely win. Betting on Genji? His payouts are very low. So what if they are low? His payouts are 1 minute and 1.31 seconds, and Hank's is 1 minute and 2.68 seconds. From the management side of the Battle Axe Colosseum, it's obvious they too are betting on Genji. Who cares about the low payout, as long as I earn money? If Genji wins, I'll have earned a lot. I'll bet on him. I'll bet on Hanks. There might be an upset. I bet $600,000 only $600,000. I bet $2 million that Genji will win. I bet $1 million just for fun. 3 beastmen with green horns dressed in luxurious clothes sat in the spectators' seats and discussed. Suddenly in the alleyway beside them, a silver-haired handsome man carrying a child walked towards the staircase beside and swiftly climbed up. Going up? The bank account must be at least 3 stars. Who is that man with silver hair? No idea. We 3 brothers only recognize people from our star field. In these places, many others, including us, aren't from the same empire. Who would know? The 3 with green horns discussed. At the same time, another 5 went upstairs. As the start of the battle drew closer, more people filled the arena. Levels of blurred silhouettes of guests had filled over half of the seats, with at least 100,000 people, and many others upstairs. To be able to enter the private rooms upstairs, one's bank account had to be at least 3 stars or even higher. Look at those 3 punks, those eyes filled with curiosity, that demeanor. One look and one can tell they are country bumpkins that have never seen such things before. I agree with Big Brother. From the interactions and gazes that I've had with people before, these 3 seem lowly and uneducated. Can't be anyone big. I agree too. The 3 beastmen with green horns looked at 3 youths walking in the distant alleyway. The 3 were chatting and laughing, looking around curiously at the arena's construct, following which, the 3 too began their climb upstairs. The 3 beastmen immediately stared wide-eyed. They had actually miscalculated. 3-star clients. I've seen ghosts. How could I actually misread them? Luo Feng, Hong, and Thunder God swiftly went upstairs, entering their private room according to their ticket. As a member, one had a private room to himself and he could bring his family, friends, servants etc. to enjoy the match. As for how many he brought, it was totally up to the member. However, the private room was only that big, and the more people one brings, the tighter it got. 3 Road Brother, this Battle Axe Colosseum is indeed forthright. From what I saw earlier, to watch a match like this, the ticket prices are very expensive. And a member can actually watch like this for free. Thunder God exclaimed, and from walking in earlier, from the crowds of people in the seats, I heard from their discussions that all of their bets were at least in the hundreds of thousands of universe dollars, up to millions, so rich. Hong smiled. To be able to come here, even those on the first level, many must be planet leaders, right? Luo Feng smiled and nodded. Right, 1 trillion black dragon dollars was akin to 300,000 universe dollars. Meaning to say those people were casually betting up to tens of planets at a go. They were definitely people with background and money from their own star fields. No matter how much background and reputation, they still weren't members. Battle Axe Colosseum members, the lowest requirement was at least a 3-star client. Normally only sector lords had this sort of status. In the Black Dragon Mountain starfield, only the 16 large families had such people, and even though they had sector lords, they weren't definitely 3-star clients. Welcome ladies and gentlemen from the universe, this death battle is about to begin immediately. Please everyone hurry and make your bets. There isn't much time left. Genji winning, payout 1:1.31. Hanks, payout is 1 minute and 2.68 seconds. If both die together, payout is 1 hours 81 minutes. Yes, 81 times payout. For opponents who are so evenly matched, there might very likely come a situation where both perish. A booming voice, using perfect universe language, reverberated around the room and in everyone's ears. Only 5 minutes remain to bet. Everyone please hurry and bet. Within the private room, 1 ST time here, we should make a bet. Thunder God smiled. Big brother, 30, who are you going to bet on? I bet on Hanks. Hong said seriously, looking at him. I remember back when I was a youth and trained as an assassin, his struggles are tens of millions of times greater than mine. Slave traders make their slaves go through hell. I believe he should win. I bet on him, 100 million universe dollars, 100 million. Luo Feng looked shocked at Hong. How much money Hong had? Luo Feng was very clear. He had given him 4 billion universe dollars before, and with the universe crystal separation, he had another 1 billion universe crystals. In terms of wealth, Hong's exceeded only 5 billion universe dollars. Throwing 100 million down like this, it seems like Hong was really into it. I choose Genji, 100 million universe dollars. I feel like his chances are bigger. Thunder God said, 30, how about you, me? Luo Feng looked through the window of the private room. Right at the center of the Battleaxe Coliseum, a large screen displayed the two warriors and their information. That Hanks was extremely cold, as though he stepped out of hell. That Genji, his eyes seemed firm and solid, with a sense of anticipation, smiling frequently. I choose him, Genji. Luo Feng said, also 100 million universe dollars. He didn't know why, but as he looked at Genji, thinking about how this warrior was fighting for his home and clan, fighting to regain his home planet's freedom and to never let them become slaves again, selling himself to the Battleaxe Coliseum when he couldn't deal with the enemy and fighting for survival. Luo Feng somewhat resonated with him. He too had such huge pressure on him, and the threat of the Nuol and Shan family still hasn't been extinguished. However, unlike Genji, Luo Feng had several more trump cards in hand. I wish for your success, to be able to survive 1,000 battles. Luo Feng thought to himself. Virtual Universe, Arena 08921, betting end. Ladies and gentlemen, this death battle will begin immediately. The warriors in this death battle are the fighter Genji and the spirit reader controller Hanks. They are both Universe Level 6. The location of this battle is in Desolate Peak Universe Country, Redbird Star Field on a normal uninhabited planet. Right now, we'll begin the live broadcast of the battle. Following which, the entire dojo became dark and a snow-white planet appeared in the center of the arena. It constantly expanded and on its surface, the winds howled with hail and snow dancing about in the wind. Vaguely, one could see among the winds and rubble, two human silhouettes. One dressed in a dark blue robe, in boots and carrying a battle knife and round shield, a cold-looking youth. He was Genji. Opposite, dressed in black armor, long hair flying, his face with a scar, with two sabers at his waist, a long white dragon flying about his body. He was Hanks. Death battle, location on a desolate planet. Among the two of them, only one would live and leave the planet. Begin. A thick voice resounded from space, hitting the two warriors' ears on the planet. On this planet's incomparably thin atmosphere, one dressed in golden armor and boots, a bald warrior surveyed below. He, a domain lord warrior, was the overseer of this death battle. If any one of them dared to flee before the battle was decided, he would immediately kill him. A universe-level battle, with a domain lord overseer. Domain lord level battle, sector lord overseer. A sector lord battle, undying overseer. This was the rule of the Battleaxe Coliseum. The moment one signed and agreed to battle, there was no way out. Lucio. The blue-robed youth muttered to himself, following which his eyes gleamed and like two lasers, gazed hard at the distant black-clothed man. 822 victories. The black-clothed man Hanks, his eyes filled with incomparably strong killing intent, like a devil from hell. Rumble, rumble. The howling winds and rubble were blown apart. However, the huge Axe Dojo's camera was swift and incomparably clear, capturing every bit of the battle, also transferring to the virtual universe network, displaying at 08921 arena. Everyone at the arena could clearly see the entire battle scene. Seal. The black-clothed man Hanks floated in mid-air, the earth and sand dancing about him. With a shout, the snow-white dragon circling about him stopped. What was originally complex silver-white embroidery on the surface began to glow and form that long dragon pen. The large amount of embroidery dispersed, swiftly filling up the surrounding land and skies, every bit glowing brightly, turning the entire world around silver-white in an instant. Hank's domain, Snow Ice domain, this can't stop me. Dressed in a blue robe, the man took one step at a time towards Hanks. While it seemed slow, it was actually fast as lightning. While walking, the blue-robed silhouette actually created 3 mirror images, making one unable to discern immediately which was the true body. All 3 of them were staring hard together at Hank, their gaze sharp as needles. It's no use. The black-clothed Hank stared coldly. 39 needles swiftly formed into a silver-thin snake, as fast as lightning, piercing towards the 3 blue-robed images. Following several kite sounds, 2 of the images were destroyed while the blue-robed Genji remained with a strong aura emanating around him. Genji held a shield. That shield swiftly formed a tight defense about him, making the silver-thin snake unable to get around it. The blue-robed man walked one step at a time, his formless aura getting stronger and stronger. His battle knife in his other hand hadn't even been used yet. Virtual universe, within the private room of the dojo. Luo Feng and his brothers watched with anticipation, beads of perspiration falling from their foreheads. Hong exclaimed softly, "Unbelievable, relying on the shield, he can actually defend like that. Almost as though there are no openings at all, from all directions completely sealed in. This is simply too exaggerated. His methods and skills have already reached such an unbelievable level, it is unbelievable." Thunder God held his breath. Impressive. Luo Feng too used a shield, hence he was even clearer of how terrifying that Genji was. That Hanks too is impressive. He actually fused his spirit weapon with his domain, forming an invincible Snow Ice domain. There was always someone above. Luo Feng and his brothers always thought they were pretty strong. However, watching these 2 warriors in this death battle, whether it was their mental state, domain level, shield skills, spirit reader skills, they far exceeded that of themselves. However, from the looks of it, Genji might win. Thunder God creased his eyebrows. Right. Luo Feng nodded. Right. Hong exclaimed that Genji's aura has totally suppressed his opponent, and his shield skills make him impenetrable, and he hasn't even used his sword. The moment he unleashes it, it would definitely be invincible. Desolate Star. The youth dressed in blue armor Genji seemed to move slowly. However, in a blink of an eye he actually closed in a few kilometers of distance, floating in mid-air and using all his power to control the spirit weapon to attack. Hank seemed frantic, gritting his teeth. 3 dragon, break. Needles swiftly gathered and formed 3 silver-thin snakes, madly surrounding and attacking Genji. Genji snorted softly, using strength from his legs, leaving behind a crater as he jumped. His entire battle knife in his hand had already become a blurry green image, engulfing Hanks, who was in mid-air. And Hanks simultaneously drew both his swords on his waist, holding each in one hand and becoming a beam of light. The exchange between the 2 universe-level warriors, the impact from their clashes created immensely strong ripples, immediately causing large scars and wearing down the first layer of the ground. Then another few tens of meters lower, the entire area around them, tens of kilometers, immediately was reduced to waste. The waves spread and dispersed in every direction. With every heavy attack and clash, the ripples spread further and violently in every direction, causing the area around them to get swept away. Block. 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 Genji muttered below his breath, the sword in his hand maintaining its incomparably graceful elegance as it slashed towards Hanks, forming a dreamy green sword silhouette. Looking at it, it's almost as though one was looking at a little blade of grass breaking through from the ground, getting stronger as it grew. That continuous thriving life force gave off the feeling of limitless energy. Hank's forehead began to perspire with beads dripping down. He grit his teeth and continued to dodge, at the same time parrying the attacks and controlling his spirit weapon to attack violently at Genji, occasionally using spirit attack techniques too. Helpless, Genji wasn't affected at all. That knife work, which was so full of life, parried and attacked over and over, getting stronger and stronger, again and again. Within the private room, Genji has won. Hanks can't take it anymore. Luo Feng said, looking at the virtual screen in the center of the dojo, those eyes filled with hope, knife work filled with limitless life energy. Genji, 30, if Genji wins, we'll earn big money. Thunder God smiled, "It's not over yet." Hong's expression was serious. Amongst the three of them, Luo Feng resonated with Genji's life and story. Hong however resonated with Hank's. The two were watching with anticipation at their champions. Of course, if Hanks died, Luo Feng would still feel sorrow and regret. However, in this death battle, one of them had to die. There was no other way. Luo Feng's expression changed. "There's hope." Hong's eyes gleamed. "That's weird." Thunder God stared wide-eyed. A special situation has arisen. Ha ha, the tables are about to turn. Shocked cries filled the entire dojo suddenly, all engaged in discussion. One had to know that surprise situations within the death battles were rare. These death battles relied on the exponent's strengths, and Genji's was indeed above that of Hank's, whether it was shield or sword skills, while defending and attacking simultaneously, it was incomparably perfect. And Genji's mental state was extremely strong. His soul's defense was strong too. Soul attacks or hypnotism didn't affect him at all. Hence, even the payout given by the Battle Axe Colosseum was much lower to Genji. Obviously they had deemed that he was much stronger than Hanks. However now, he's evolved. This Hanks, in the face of death, actually managed to realize part of the origin laws. It's indeed the origin laws, it should be the water origin laws. Even though he's just come to understand it, he's still stepped through a very large door. Ha ha, this death battle, we actually managed to see something like that. It's worth it. Luo Feng and his brothers listened to the discussion from the bleacher stands. They knew very little about the origin laws. However, at this time, they could clearly see a large change in the situation of Genji and Hank's death battle. The clashes causes ripples that tremored the ground greatly, creating incomparably large shockwaves below. The two silhouettes moved as fast as lightning. Hank's eyes gleamed. His snow ice domain had engulfed the entire land and earth. His three silver thin snakes seemed alive again, almost as though three slippery thin snakes. They surrounded Genji and madly attacked. Genji used his shield to defend. However, he seemed frantic, no longer as relaxed as before. Xiong. Genji not only used the shield, but also his battle knife to defend. No. Genji began to perspire profusely. His defense with the shield and sword had already reached their limit. Floating in the distance, the black-cloaked Hank surveyed over this scene. His eyes flashed and the three silver thin snakes' attack speeds actually rose and grew again, causing Genji to be unable to defend. A thin silver light brushed through the shield and it actually caused this silver thin snake to explode. However, its front half, with needles that had formed a silver light, actually pierced through Genji's head. Silence! All the needles stopped their attack and floated in mid-air. They swiftly gathered together, along with the surrounding needles, forming a round disc, landing beside Hanks. Dressed in a blue armor, with a smashing sound, his knees landed on the ground, following which his body fell gradually. Ha ha ha, run quickly, here to Daddy. Daddy. Genji, in his dazed eyes, seemed to clearly see that beautiful grass field. On it were his adorable 5-year-old daughter who was laughing, chasing large silhouette, shouting, Daddy, that grass field in his dreams, is Genji's most beautiful grass field. His home. The place he had to protect. Lucio. At the instant his soul shattered, he muttered his home's name. Peng. His body crashed on the ground, blood seeped out from his forehead, even though it didn't seem like too much of a wound. In truth, his brain and consciousness had already been pierced through, his soul was broken. The winds howled loudly. The black-clothed man Hanks flew over from far, landing on the ground beside, looking at the blue-robed corpse. Hanks slowly knelt down, gently rubbing Genji's eyes to closing them. However, he felt his hands get a little wet. Hanks looked at his hands. The liquid was clear. Tears? I'm sorry. Hanks lowered his head to look at Genji's body, saying softly, I just want to go home. During every battle, Hanks always seemed vicious and unfeeling. However, after every battle, he would apologize. Hanks closed his eyes. The beautiful memory of his planet, his home, it has already been thousands of years since he has returned. 822, another 178 matches and I can go home. Hanks stood up. Rumble. He rushed towards the sky. Only the ice storm was left around the skies. The snow and ice storm quickly covered Genji's corpse. A universe level 6 warrior, one that may have actually had a very bright future, a warrior with boundless paths ahead, had died like that on a desolate star. Within the private room, the Battleaxe Colosseum's camera equipment was incomparably advanced. Even the 2 tears that Genji had left behind were clearly captured. The end, Genji's death, Hank's victory. Luo Feng and Thunder God had both lost their bets, Hong won. However, all 3 of them were deep in thought for a long time. Even Hong, who had won, watched solemnly at the final scene of the corpse being covered by dust. Genji has died. Luo Feng said solemnly, Hanks just requires another 178 victories to return alive. Hong and Thunder God were silent. In the universe, to rise and struggle to a position of power was indeed extremely hard. Any genius, getting careless in any situation, could result in death. And the entire Earth's strongest were just them 3. Watching this scene, Luo Feng, Hong and Thunder God felt immense pressure. Leaving the dojo and returning to reality from the virtual universe network. Within the universe ship control room, Luo Feng and his brother's moods were heavy. This brutal universe. Thunder God could help but curse. Luo Feng was silent. Don't bother, there's no point in cursing. Hong shook his head. Where there's light, there will be darkness, and with power and levels, there will be competition. Even on a small planet like Earth, assassins, prostitutes, liars, robbers, corrupt officials, scammers, what type of people do we not have? Much less the incomparably vast universe. The vastness of the universe only means even more brutal and scheming people. However, there are many more with light in their hearts, people chasing after their dreams. It's a myriad of types, encompassing everything. The only thing we can do now is to prepare ourselves and protect our community on Earth. Only when we become powerful people within in the universe will we have the power to actually do something. As for now, let's not think or act rashly. Hong shook his head. Luo Feng and Thunder God nodded. The ship continued to fly. After 8 hours of flying, the ship finally reached the dark universe coordinates within the solar system. The coordinates here were totally camouflaged by the Yunmo Planet Master's space techniques, hence other ships that wanted to come here could only come through the wormhole and fly for a long period of time before being able to reach here. While Luo Feng and his group could easily just engage in universe travel. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 3, 2, 1. Universe travel. Within the dark universe. Following the universe ship's halt, it then began to engage in its universe travel and return to their original solar system. China time year 2063, November 16th, late night 22:08 p.m., triangular universe ship entered Earth, landing in the continent of Asia, China, Jiannan headquarter city's Yangzhou city skies. Hong and Thunder God had already been sent home earlier by Luo Feng when they arrived. Yangzhou City, Westlake Yard, Daddy. Daddy. When Luo Feng, dressed in his alloy armor and battle boots, arrived with his slave Aogu at the castle's entrance, his family had been waiting, having received the news earlier, especially his 2 sons, Luo Hai and Luo Ping, immediately shouting excitedly and running directly towards Luo Feng. Ha ha, Ping Ping, little Hai. Luo Feng looked at his family, a contented smile spreading across his face. Oh, much heavier than before. Luo Feng hugged his 2 sons and laughed happily. Daddy, your armor is so hard. Ping Ping waved his fist and punched it. Peng, 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 knocking on Luo Feng's alloy armor. You don't even change when you return. Shushin walked up to him, smiling, dressed in this metal lump. I got so used to wearing it outside, didn't get the time to change. Luo Feng smiled. The alloy armor had indeed been worn for too long. Actually, while the armor outside was hard and solid, it was still very comfortable within. Of course it couldn't compare to the pure cotton sleeping gowns. However, as time passed, one would naturally get used to it. Little Feng, dinner is ready. We've been waiting for you. His mother Gongshin Lan smiled. Yes, mother's cooking is the best. Luo Feng smiled. Let me go change and take a bath and we'll eat immediately. Changing from his alloy armor and boots into a comfortable nightie, Luo Feng had dinner with his family. Breathing in that aroma of home, watching the moon with family and having dinner and chatting with them. After traveling in the universe for a long time, one would indeed miss this feeling. The news of Luo Feng and his brother's return was very quickly known by the 5 great countries. On the 3rd afternoon from his return, the 5 great countries sent 15 representatives to Luo Feng's house to discuss about the universe migration. Within the meeting room, Hong and Thunder God rushed over too. The main event was the discussion between the 15 representatives and the three of them. These 15 representatives could already represent the entire powers of the 5 great countries. Mr. Luo, cowardice will not solve the problem. We are all very clear that there are many dangers within the universe. However, we cannot just wait till the dangers come knocking at our doorstep before we face them. The best method is to communicate and make contact with others in the universe as soon as possible and make preparations. A lady chairperson from the European Union political party said seriously, yes. Please understand that our countries have all made ample preparations. The new white prime minister from the American side watched Luo Feng and his group. The Chinese, Indian, and Russian representatives all stared at Luo Feng and his brothers. Whatever could be said has been said already. Luo Feng, Hong and Thunder God exchanged glances and finally, Luo Feng nodded. The three had already made their decision. I understand your thoughts. Luo Feng looked towards the leaders of the 5 great countries. I admit, whatever you've said does make a lot of sense. If you want to migrate into the universe, that's possible. Luo Feng emphasized. The leaders of the 5 great countries could barely hold back the excitement in their eyes. However, I must warn you all, the first point, reaching another life planet in the universe, I will provide the migrants with the most basic of living guarantees. However, you must understand that one has to reach the star traveler level before earning the right to be a universe citizen. Hence, the moment these migrants leave the planet that I control, I cannot guarantee their safety. The second point, leaving Earth is very easy, returning is very hard. Returning to Earth from the other life planets in the universe, just traveling alone takes 3 years. The third point, as for the information of Earth, they have to keep it totally secret, no divulging of any kind. Luo Feng emphasized. Actually, there wasn't much important information of Earth. The only important thing was about the golden horned beast. However, normal citizens of Earth didn't even know the swallowing monster was the golden horned beast, and these migrants, Luo Feng would definitely not allow any of them to bring any pictures or footage of the golden horned beast. The moment the migrants left Earth and reached a planet Luo Feng controlled. Firstly, there were other human races on that planet, all normal people, who would know of the swallowing monster or golden horned beast. However, if anyone divulges any information of Earth and betrays the humans of Earth, he or she will be executed. Luo Feng emphasized, no problem. Agreed. Agreed. Mr. Luo, it seems that you don't require 3 years to return from the universe? That American lady asked, looking at them. Luo Feng creased his eyebrows and stared at her. That formless mental pressure caused her to start perspiring profusely with cold sweat. Luo Feng said, this first batch of migrants is the first contact from Earth to the universe. I don't want any accidents. The moment an accident occurs, then all of you will be guilty of sabotaging the humans of Earth. Remember the 3 points that I said, agree, and I will agree to the migration. If you don't agree to them, then you can work hard and build your own spaceship. Luo Feng said coldly, oh, sorry my Luo, I was just curious, I didn't mean anything else. That lady said, that's how it is, the migrants will officially depart from Earth half a year later. Within this half a year, you all should choose the people wisely. Remember, just the trip back requires 3 years. Luo Feng said. The 15 representatives of the 5 great countries left. Luo Feng, Hong and Thunder God couldn't help it. There are good points to this. We cannot always take all the weight of Earth on ourselves. We should let them head out and deal with problems. Without pressure, there'll be no movement. Always under our protection, the humans of Earth would naturally evolve slower. Hong said, right. Luo Feng nodded. These people wouldn't be able to make a mess even if they wanted to. What's more, divulging information of Earth would make them traitors of Earth. Everybody is from Earth, so they wouldn't dare to reveal anything. And even if they did, it would still be within our control. That is, after all, my territory. Luo Feng currently had over 100 planets as his territory. However, for the migrants of Earth, he was actually prepared to specially buy a few others. To the current Luo Feng, buying a few planets was indeed easy. After staying a few days on Earth, Luo Feng sat in a universe ship and headed to Mars. He also ordered a nutrition cabin via the virtual universe network. Sir, you sure you want to buy an E-grade nutrition cabin? This nutrition cabin, as the highest 3-grade cabin, is most for the recovery and evolution of a sector Lord Warrior. Also, it is also an evolution cabin capable of immediately producing a universe-level warrior. However, it will only make the body of the warrior into a universe level. Any further breakthroughs will be dependent on his own comprehension of domains, etc. Just relying on the cabin alone is futile. Also, relying on the cabin to break through might result in one's foundations not being solid, unable to realize domains, naturally unable to ever break through to the domain lord level. Also, the cost of usage for the nutrition cabin is shocking. 100 years of usage, creating a universe level, the amount of money can be used to buy over 100 universe level slaves. Hence using it to evolve is not worth it at all. Its best and mostly used function is to heal a sector lord's body and to recover it. Its best point, its healing abilities. I have to emphasize this point. If you still think that it's fine, then sign below. E-grade nutrition cabin requires 86 billion universe dollars. As for the nutrition liquid you require, 1 ton requires 10 billion universe dollars. A ton of nutrition liquid can totally create a universe level. Of course, 10 billion universe dollars can also buy over 100 universe level slaves. Oh, you require 10 tons of nutrition liquid, understood. This is the agreement. A sector lord's battle, there are many which inflict damage straight on the soul, some on the body outside. At this time, relying on the nutrition cabin to recover is the best. Hence the nutrition cabin was very expensive. It had a secondary effect, warrior evolution. And what Luophone bought it for was to increase the speed of evolution of his own human body. As for being unable to break through, with the golden horned beast's body as the root, Luophone, you have no bottleneck at all, and no problem of your foundations not being solid. Also you have money, of course buying is the best option. This 3-grade nutrition cabin generates the fastest evolution speed. This was what Barbata had told Luophone. Luophone took the nutrition cabin and stationed himself on Mars, beginning a long period of isolation within. This was because Luophone's golden horned beast body was about to break through to the universe level, and breaking through had several very important problems. Naturally he would pick Mars where no one could bother him to break through. In the world of Thunder, the golden horned beast was already a star level 9. For the star level 9 to break through to the universe level, it required over 50 years, and Luophone's metal groupings had a maximum efficiency of 89 times, hence in a little over half a year, it was already ready to break through. And Luophone was at point of time where it was just about to do it. This video will end here. Thank you for watching.